Hey everybody, so today we're going to be making some snap plates. Snap plates are used to join two pieces of a costume together. So maybe your chest piece is here and your abdomen's down here. You want to join the pieces together but have a little bit of flex when you're moving around and a little bit of swivel too. This has, snap plates are a huge benefit over using traditional Velcro because Velcro doesn't have that give to it, and it can always separate if you're not too careful. Snap plates are great because you can also separate your armor pieces or your costume pieces. You can work on one, and then when you need to, you just snap it back and there it goes, right? Also makes it easier for packing things up and making sure that all the pieces are aligned just like they were when you built the costume. So I'm going to be making a bunch of snap plates today, and what I do is make them out of some ABS plastic. So this is just some scrap plastic that I've got, and this is ABS, and normally it'd be recycled anyways. So today we're gonna make some snap plates. So I make my snap plates 1.5 inches square. It just so happens that this ruler is 1.5 inches wide. So I've already made one straight cut here, and all I'm gonna do is draw some lines on here that are 1.5 inches apart, and I'm trying to take advantage of the plastic real estate that's here so I can make as many plates as possible. Something that I actually should have done before I got started was actually sand this down. Maybe I'll just do that right now. Because you're going to be gluing these snap plates to a piece of armor, it's way more effective if the plastic is roughed up first. And of course you can use just a sanding block for that. If I'm making a whole bunch of snap plates, I'll use a drill with like a circular, sanding pad, and I'll just go like this and rough it up. And this just provides a little bit of tooth for the glue to grip onto. So whether you're using, an ABS glue or E6000, which is a contact adhesive, roughing up the plastic first will give it a better tooth to grab onto. You want to sand the opposite side as well too. So it's okay, the pencil lines are all still there, that's all good. I'm going to draw some perpendicular lines. I've got my T-square here, and we'll just draw a few lines. Again, these are going to be 1.5 inch square snap plates. So I got my square line there, and then I'm just going to draw some more lines, and then this will give me some perfect squares. And this is just a really great way to use up plastic. Instead of trying to buy new fresh pieces of plastic all the time, I always try to just keep scraps that I might be recycling. If they're even just a few inches wide, I'll still hang on to them because I know that I can make snap plates or other little accessories. So now that I've got my pieces all drawn out, I'm going to score them and snap them. And I made a tutorial a little earlier about how to score and snap plastic. It's really, really straightforward. You just want to line your ruler up to the edge that you want to cut. Got your nice sharp blade here. You want to do a light pass to make kind of a guide cut, and then go a little bit heavier, a little bit more pressure, all right? So I'm going to do another cut here. Sorry, forgot my second pass there. Go. So I'll just do a few of these just so you can kind of see how they would lay out. I'll cut the rest of those afterwards. A bit like a cooking show. So we'll do these ones next. And again, I want to end up with, for a typical costume, I'm making these right now for a stormtrooper costume. You probably want kind of 25 or so, 25 to 30 snap plates, depending on all of the locations that you want to use them in. In some areas you want multiple snap plates to add a little bit more strength or a little bit more rigidity, and in other areas you might just be able to get away with one. So, but in this particular case, I'll probably make about 25 of these, just to make sure I have enough on hand. And before I get started snapping all these out, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an X on one of these. And basically what that is that'll give me a center point mark for drilling holes through the center of these. And I'll show you what that's for in just a sec. Okay, so now I can snap these all out. Do it this way first. So I'm not going to use that piece. But here, see now, really straightforward. Just snap all these out. And it's great, they're already centered on one side, makes it really, really easy to glue. Didn't do that one there. Okay, so now that I've got my stack here, I'm going to keep this one, that's going to be my reference one, and add a little center punch mark to that, because that's where I'm going to drill a 1/8 inch hole so that I can assemble my snap plates. So just drill this guy out here. And then what I can do is I can use this as a template for all these others. I can actually stack them up. It's usually easier if I have a drill press or something like that, and I'll just run like 10 of them at the same time. I don't have a drill press here handy right now, so I will just hold these together as best I can, make sure they're square, and then just fire a hole through a bunch at a time. And then that'll give you a bunch that are nicely centered like that. So I'll do a few more. And just try to keep them as square as you can. It's not the end of the world if you don't get them perfect. And now, right, I've got over a dozen of these ready to go. So now that I've got my base plate kind of done, I'm going to start assembling the snap. And I'll talk really briefly about how I do them, and then I'll talk about how some other people put them together too. So what I do is I use a 1/8 inch rivet. That's it's going to be just under. It's actually going to be 1/8 by 1/8. That's what they call this particular rivet size. You want to put it through the sanded side, because this is the side that's going to glue to your armor, right? So you want to put it like that, okay? And then on the top of this, you're going to put your snap. This is going to be your male snap, or yeah, your male snap. These are Tandy leather line 24 snaps. So they go on top just like that. Now, you can't just squeeze the rivet like that. You want to have a washer that's going to be on the top that'll prevent this from ever popping back out. So unfortunately, you cannot use 1/8 inch washers because they're a little bit too big to fit inside that hole. You can just go to the hardware store and try and find different sized ones. And I've had a lot of luck just using these really, really tiny ones. These are from an electronics store, and these are 2.6 millimeter washers that just perfectly fit right over the head of that rivet. Got that? And they're not going to let it pop out. So then what I do is I just hold that there, and I've got my pop rivet gun here. Make sure the washer's still in there, and I'm going to squeeze that, and that's just going to pop, right? It's going to snap the rivet off, and there's my snap plate right there. One issue making them this way, instead of using kind of the traditional sandwich over a piece of plastic, using this base and then using this male head, the reason why I use the rivets is that if you use this head, you end up with less surface area to glue on. So I just use the rivet, and that works really nice. But the rivet is just a hair thicker than the sort of regular base plates. So what I do is I just take, put these over like an anvil or something like that, and then I use a hammer. Actually, I do it this way. Use a hammer, and I just hammer them flat like that. And then what I do is flip it over, because that sometimes will loosen the rivet. I will just use a bolt and hammer that, and that just makes it rock solid. The other benefit of doing that is it actually sinks in the rivet a little bit, and it actually domes it out so that the plastic has a ton of surface area to grip onto the piece that you're going to be gluing it to. Let's do that again a little more just to show you. Not sure if you can quite see that, but it's really nice and even there now. And it'll glue to a surface. You'll get a lot of nice contact with the plastic that you're going to be gluing it to. So that's basically how a snap plate's made. Once you do up a bunch of those, you can do up the straps, which I'll show you in a separate tutorial. I do want to talk really briefly about how some other people are doing making snap plates. They'll sometimes use a piece of like 1.5 inch wide nylon webbing, and then they'll use like a soldering iron or a hole punch. You know, they'll punch a hole in the middle there, and then they can insert their standard kind of snap base like that, and then they can put the male head on top like that, and then smash that down with their little setting tool. Now that works all great. You know, some people really like that, and I think for some people it's easier to do. It's just sort of less steps and less pieces. And some people say that there's a little bit more kind of flexibility in gluing this to the underside of the armor, because if the armor is curved, this will conform to it, right? It'll conform to the shape of the armor. The only reason I don't like this method quite as much is there's still that issue of a little bit less surface area. This base is covering, whatever, a quarter of the bottom of this nylon piece. I'm also worried about just over time, even with the soldered hole, if you use a soldering iron to punch the hole through, that this hole just starts to wear and enlarges. And because you're not necessarily gluing on the rivet or on the base itself, there is like a little bit of movement each time you pop this on and off. So it kind of depends on what you're sticking this on. I think if it's a really, really curved piece, this method could work really well. And then just for like pieces of armor or pieces of costuming that are a little bit more flat, I still like it this way because it's really, really solid. So anyways, that's how you make snap rivets. I gotta go make another 24 of them. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have some more tips next time. Thanks for watching.